I'm Deidra Palmour. I'm an opera singer. I'm a mezzo-soprano. There are really two essential elements to being an opera singer. One of them is having a big classical sounding voice. The other is being an actress. These are two things that I was from the beginning. There's a story that my family tells. When I'm 10 years old, we are on a family vacation, and we're all singing. I have 3 sisters, and we all sang in the car all the time. And my father turned around and he said, "You don't need to sound like the big girls. You know, your voice is, you don't need to have vibrato and all of that." And big tears just started rolling down my face, and I said, "Daddy, it just comes out that way." Separate from singing, I became an actress in high school. And so when I got to college, all of a sudden somebody said, "Look, opera puts these two things together." It puts classical singing and dramatic acting together, and that was me. And so I'm an opera singer because I was born this way. I eventually sang 36 different companies. I sang in France. I sang in the Netherlands. My opera debut was in Utrecht, Netherlands, with Edo de Waart conducting. Big experience. And Deborah Voigt, who's a very famous opera singer, was also in that cast. So I sang a lot in Nice, France, sang in Canada. I have done master classes in Chengdu, China, and at the Sichuan University. I've done a master class in Indonesia, and I taught in Graz, Austria. So it also took me to teaching and took me all over the world, really. So one of the great experiences of my opera career, and kind of at the pinnacle of my opera career, was a recording that I was able to make in Vienna with Maestro Anton Guadagno, who was a master at helping me know how to phrase something, where to take a breath. And so I was able to be in Vienna for a week and sing with the European orchestra. And I put 7 arias down. I've never produced this album, but I was able to put down O Mio Fernando by Donizetti, and it was a great experience. Washington Opera is a very special place for me. It's now called Washington National Opera, and it is in Washington, D.C., and at the heart of our country. And I was privileged to be the first person to ever sing 3 major roles in 3 different languages in the same season. And also that season, Opera America had just started, and now they have a wonderful center in New York City, but they had their convention that year. And so I was able to be heard by all these opera impresarios that came to DC for the convention. And our opera, actually the middle one that I sang, the French opera, and then I got a New York Times review, and those are the kinds of things that make your career. So now, opera looks a lot like me being a CEO, which I never thought that I would be, an executive producer. I have a little opera company called 3 Oaks Opera, named for 3 huge oaks that were on my property when I lived in Virginia. And really this opera company started because students that I taught said, "Miss Palmour, let's do a show." And I responded to them, and we've had such a great time. I've produced things in Florence, Italy, shows in Florence, Italy, and just recently produced Amal and the Night Visitors in Philadelphia using members of the Philadelphia Orchestra, which is one of the most important orchestras in the world right now. Even the chorus master was our conductor. And I just went into Philadelphia, did auditions, hired people, hired orchestra, just put an entire show together in Philadelphia.
What are you afraid of? Don't be bashful, silly man. Don't be bashful, silly boy. They won't heed you. Show what you want them.
Go on, go on, go on, go on, no, you go on. Only some bits, apples and beans, making nerds, tornadoes and jazz. This is all we shall stand on you. Thank you, 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 thank you.
A way that 3 Oaks Opera stays involved in the musical community is by producing concerts. I've already mentioned that we produced operas in Florence, Italy, in Philadelphia, and right now I'm reaching out to a saxophonist and to a string bass player to do some interesting musical concerts that use unconventional instruments for the pieces. So we're going to do some Bach with saxophone instead of oboe, and with me playing the piano and singing, and with these players. So I hope that we will take this concert, which is going to have Bach, it's going to have Brahms. We're also going to play something by Elam Sprinkle, and these pieces were written for me for viola and piano and voice, but we're going to do them again with saxophone and with bass. So using unconventional instruments to do conventional music. And so it's something a little bit innovative and different. And this is reaching out to people in the musical community who are not necessarily opera oriented, but are musicians, maybe jazz musicians. So this is something that 3 Oaks Opera and me, I as CEO of the company, we're trying to reach out to the whole musical community and bring it in and to different places. So we hope to take this to universities and to show students that they too can do something in an unconventional way to further music for everyone. I was privileged to be in the cast of an opera called Sacco and Vanzetti by Anton Coppola. He's actually the uncle of Francis Ford Coppola of the Godfather movies. So was famous, and we got to meet Francis Ford Coppola at the opening night party. But that was a great experience because the part was actually written for me.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for alleys of grain, for purple mountain majesties, above rosy plain. America, America, God save His grace on thee.
It was an Irish lawyer. It was an interesting story about a historical a true historical event in the 1920s about some Italian immigrant shoemakers who were accused of murder, very wrongly accused and actually executed.
You are gone from us, and yet you remain here in our hearts,
And so the opera is in English and in Italian, and was really the life work of this great maestro. And I was able to be there at the very beginning. So it was a great kind of a historical event that happened in my career. Some exciting things are coming up for me. I'm starting to be diversified, more creative. I've started writing. I've written some children's books. I've written a book called The Bear Who Left Wall Street. All of a sudden, this book poured out of me. There was a bear in the middle of Wall Street. Nobody could laugh. Nobody could sing. Nobody could even do a thing. So this book, The Bear Who Left Wall Street, is part of a series of books. And the overall title is Do You Know About? So do you know about the bear who left Wall Street? Do you know about the Cub who found the W? And this book is about the Chicago Cubs and when they won the World Series. It had been 107 years since they had won the World Series, and so that's one of my children's books. Do you know about the rat who left the kitchen? Do you know about the virus who left the earth? Of course, that's about COVID. But there are 7 of these books that are just on kind of wild subjects, you know, everywhere, but that are something that impacted my life at one point or the other, and that I hope children will enjoy. The themes of opera and classical music in general are human themes: birth, love, sex, rejection, fear, loss, return, death. It's just said with a different sound bite, a different vocabulary, if you will. But the lessons and the themes are as old as time itself.